let's talk about the stimulus, right? I mean, the stimulus came out finally, right? For 4 months, 5 months, they've been talking about this. They closed lockdowns, closed businesses, and now they're giving people $600. $600 to forcing people that want to work to not work, and string them along this whole entire time because you guys can't come up with a deal, which has nothing to do with, COVID and helping these people, which both sides agree on. It's about, how much shit we could put into this bill, which we saw, right? I mean, this is a pandemic. This is a once in a lifetime, hopefully thing. Maybe, whatever. But a black swan event, you can't play politics here. You just can't play politics here. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know you have a strong opinion about this too.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's terrible because I just lost it. But I mean, Trump did I thought his video was genius. He posted on his Twitter and he was reading off, hundreds of millions of dollars going to different countries and all that. And listen, nothing against different countries. But now in the last several months, which you pointed out, when you are forced to shut down and you are at risk of losing everything on purpose and they don't help you, and then when they do, they give you a $600 check, and maybe now they'll even bump it up to $2,000. But obviously there's a big difference between those two. But is $2,000 going to make a small business owner that's been closed for 6 months whole? Hell no. Like, that's pathetic. And it's still pathetic. Well, so then you bring on Bloomberg had a decent article. Did you see Larry Summers put his foot in his mouth? Larry Summers is the former Treasury.
No, I didn't see that.
He was under Clinton, and then he was a Treasury Secretary under Clinton, I believe. And then under Obama, he was Director of National Economic whatever. But anyway, he's a big wig in the career government politicians. And he was on Bloomberg. I believe he did an interview, and he was saying, hey, this is not a good idea. This $2,000 thing could overheat the economy. And he made it what I would say is kind of in jest of saying, hey, well, what's the difference between why not 5 or why not 10? And that'll bring in a conversation we're going to have all of next year, which I completely dread already. But that whole modern monetary theory and, hey, you know what? Why don't we just tell businesses to stop and give everybody $10,000 a month? What's wrong with that? That's the conversation in the direction we're going. You don't do that real quick just because when you throw in more money chasing the same amount of goods or services, prices are going to go through the roof, and it's going to hurt the poor people 10 times harder than anybody else, which is ironic because that's who always they say that they're passing all this shit to help out so much. So
it's funny because if you're looking at Lawrence Summers, one of the things that are funny, remember, I don't know if you saw, the social network with Facebook, but he was, like the head of Harvard at the time. And they show this in a movie, and I don't know how accurate it is, but, it's probably a story, but, they made it entertaining, which they usually do in Hollywood. But it was the Winklevoss were pissed off that Zuckerberg, they were all Harvard, that he stole their ideas. So they said, let's just go to Harvard, see if they take care of it. And they went to Summers and said, hey, you know what? Zuckerberg stole this idea. And he's like, well, too bad. He's like, well, it's too bad. And the Winklevoss are like, but this could be potentially $1 million idea, Facebook. He's like, all right, isn't that a little bit of a stretch? You look at the valuation today. They had that in the movie. I don't know how true that is. I'm sure they, Hollywooded it up a little bit.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's just funny where, the old guard and stuff like that, like they don't understand. But
the sad thing here is on the stimulus is it's back to business as usual. And don't get me wrong, Trump was nothing short of a huge debt. In fact, he ran on being the king of debt. Do you remember when he said that during the first? Yeah. Oh gosh, that was all. Hey, I'm the king of debt. And no doubt, on a lot of scales, Trump is the most conservative president we've had easily since Reagan. But what else? What do they have in common? Biggest. What happened to the national debt under Ronald Reagan? It went through the roof. So there is no such thing as a conservative in the national debt anymore, and there hasn't been since the 80s. But the crazy thing is that I don't understand how the average person still has faith, and we'll get to the election here in 30 seconds, but I don't understand how the average person is going to continue to have faith, or what little bit they may have remaining in politicians, when you wait so long with your businesses shut, and then that bill that comes out, and it's $900 billion, and a portion of that goes to you, and hundreds of millions. Did you see the Pakistan gender
I got it
something?
Right here. I got it right. I mean, it's 85 million in Cambodia.
How can you not? Man, I mean, if you have any faith left, I'm impressed by that. And you ought to email us in and tell us why, because I don't understand that at all.
It's a complete. It just
if that's not the biggest thing for term limits and a march there, then I don't know what is. But it's sad for people. But this is the arena. Doesn't mean we can't make money. And the easiest way into the next stock market or in the next year is every time you see a headline about breaking up Google, Facebook, and Microsoft and Apple, buy them, because there's no way those guys are going to turn their back on the biggest corporations that help them every step of the way forward.
Yeah, and most companies like that, when they do break them up, they become even more powerful. They achieve their goal with AT&T and Exxon and Standard Oil back in the day, where they made it more competitive, but those people got much more rich.
But if you would have bought if you had the option to buy that
as an investor, absolutely. But just really quick, just as something, so $600 checks, that's it, right? And you're forcing people who are dying to work. These people want to work. You're forcing them to close their businesses for a virus that has a 99.5% survival rate. You're mandating mass social distancing along with massive lockdowns, right? You have the governors, you have the mayors, and these mayors and governors are not doing what they're saying, right? They're hypocrites, a lot of them. But then you look at massive lockdowns and take California, for example, right? With mandating masks, social distancing, huge lockdowns, probably the biggest of any state outside of New York. And COVID is spreading faster in California than anywhere else in the world. So it's just questions we need to ask ourselves, where if you're really practicing social distancing, if you're wearing masks and we have lockdowns, why the hell is this spreading so rapidly? And people say, well, it's spreading now because we just locked it. No, you've been locked down for 3 weeks. Okay. So, and now you're pushing that into another 2 to 3 weeks. So we need more data on this, and the data doesn't support it. But when you're forcing these people to stay home and saying, listen, you need to stay home. You can't work. You can't open your business. Walmart, you're allowed to open. Home Depot, you're okay. But no, you're a restaurant owner, indoor, no. Even if you have outdoor facilities, too bad. Nope, we don't want you. Even though there's no data supporting that, you're more easily get COVID that way by going to an indoor restaurant than a Walmart or any other indoor place that's a mandate allowed to stay open by our government. But and then what happens is you give $600 checks to people as you strung them along. It just goes to show you about our politicians, right? These are politicians where who campaign all the time of how we're going to help constituents and we're going to. It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with them. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. Okay, obviously these guys don't give a shit about you. Don't give a shit about me. It's evident. $85 million to Cambodia, $134 million to Burma, $1.3 billion for Egypt, the Egyptian military, $25 million for, like you said, democracy and gender programs in Pakistan. Why is this crap in this bill when tens of millions of Americans are in a lot of trouble? I mean, I'm fortunate. I own 2 businesses that are doing well. The other business, I'm mostly hands off on my phone business, but and we're fortunate to do. But there's I have friends who are gym owners. I have friends who are bar owners. And even in Florida, you go to 80% capacity with these businesses, or 70% capacity, and that's the difference between you staying open or closing or going bankrupt. And they won't even let them go to 70%. Here they do in Florida. Again, it's not spreading as fast. It just need more data. But $1 billion to the Smithsonian, additional $154 million for the National Gallery of Art. Are you kidding me? I mean, $500 million to Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Nicaragua. I mean, why is this? Excuse my language. I know it's the holiday season, but
it's
why
a family
is this
show, Frank.
Shit in this bill? Like, they know the whole world's going to see it, don't they? And they forced this stuff. And this is what they're arguing about of why the bill didn't pass. It's not because of the help, right?
Yeah.
It's because of this garbage. And just to see that, to me, it's incredible. I know when I always say I'm so surprised, you say, Frank, why are you surprised for, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is the status quo. I mean, when people tell you who they are, just listen. And think about, to add insult to injury, I am going to end on an awesome note, though. But to add insult to injury, that bill is over 5,000 pages long. So you literally are just back to the status quo. And I'm not saying Trump changed all this, so I don't mean back to the status quo in the sense that it was changed for the last 4 years dramatically. But you have people literally just continuing to vote on legislation that they have no idea what's in it. There's no possible way any of those guys, I would bet a handful of them can't even read, but let alone read a 5,000-page bill. So it's bad. But that's the world of politics, and that's the norm. It's disgusting, but you can either continue to get mad on it or see it for what it is and make decisions accordingly, from the individual standpoint all the way out to, businesses and anything else. The best thing is, and this is just one of the best stories of capitalism and big-heartedness in 2020. So Dave Portnoy, Barstool Sports founder, sold to Penn Gaming, right? I don't know if anybody follows this guy. He is a saying he's a hilarious character. It doesn't even begin to describe it.
Regardless if you love him or hate him, the following.
Yeah. Oh, he's an outspoken. He cracks me up. And what I like is that I watch the NFL if I'm with family or hanging out, but I could care less about most pro sports in the fact of how closely I follow him. So I can look at him because he does betting and football and all kinds of stuff, but I can watch him on the middle of the fence because I really don't care one way or another. So it doesn't offend me when he's hilarious and crude, but he's a big small business guy because he built his company before selling it. And he started a fund, Barstool Fund, to help small businesses. And I think he put in $500,000 to start it. And I'm going to donate to this thing too, because this just is a feel-good story. He said, I just checked his Twitter a little while ago, 2 hours ago, he woke up, there is over $10 million from over 85,000 supporters that have donated to this. So this guy raises $10 million for small businesses, and it's cool. He posts, he FaceTimes with people, business owners, tells them that they're part of this or whatever. I mean, it is good stuff. So, when you get frustrated about the politicians and the status quo, there are wonderful people out there. And hopefully, when you look at Hollywood and all the wealthy people that are constantly telling you what to do, I would hope that all those people that were putting, and you can use your money however you want to. I'm the biggest capitalist there is. But if you're willing to bail out protesters and violent people when they're burning down stores and rioting, I would hope that you're willing to support the small businesses that they burnt down or had to shut down. Yeah. But man, kudos to him. $10 million freaking dollars is amazing. And I don't know when he started it, but it wasn't a long time ago. So that just shows you the power. It shows you capitalism getting to work, individualism, and just a good, people that care and help donate money and time. It's great.
Yeah, no, it is cool to see. And again, he has a very strong personality, very strong following, but also it's a lot of people that don't like him where, he's trading stocks and saying this is the easiest thing in the world. All you guys do buy stocks. So it rubs people the wrong way. But he's passionate and he's entertaining as hell. So, but I like what he's doing. I think he's very honest in what he does, and yeah, stuff like that. It's just a feel good story. And before we even mention Portnoy, you were talking about. We're talking about what our politicians. Listen, you could be pissed, just like I say, you could be pissed the Fed's spending tons of money. It doesn't matter, right? You got to react accordingly. Even if you disagree or, you want to hold up a sign, you want to protest, do what you got to do. But if we're going to see continued spending and all this garbage, buy Bitcoin, buy gold. It's going to do much, much better. You're going to see more money into the market where a 20% correction, we're not allowed to have that anymore, even though corrections are normal course of business. We're not allowed to, right? I mean, the Fed's going to inject themselves, right? Detect the dot-com bubble. We didn't see the government come in, right? No, the freaking NASDAQ fell, 75% from its highs. And it was like a 3-year period before, hey, the strongest survived. They became lean, smart. They actually had businesses. They didn't have 3 web pages and a $2 billion valuation. But just the government being there and forcing themselves into these industries and having that support means that stocks are probably going to go higher. On every pullback, it's going to be a buying opportunity. So you could argue, you could hate it. You could say, this sucks, but at the end of the day, it's about you, your family, your portfolio. Adjust accordingly. It doesn't matter, Democrat, Republican, whatever. You see what's coming out. You see these politicians. And that brings us to our next topic, which is the election in Georgia. It's just a week away. I think over the past 2 to 3, like after the election with Trump, I feel like that this story isn't as big as it first was in the 2 weeks after, right? Biden rejected the winner, whatever. But it was like, everyone's like, holy cow, Georgia. I feel like it's kind of losing that luster a little bit, but you can't look at this and not be concerned because if the Democrats win this and they control everything, we're going to see massive, massive changes, right?
Yeah. I mean, full disclosure, I'm surprised that we haven't seen a nice pullback day leading up to that election because as it stands, and as crazy as it is, there are Senate hearings in Georgia going on about the presidential election right now, which is wild because I know everybody's written that off. I will admit when I'm wrong, but there is the 2 videos out there about allegedly where they pull votes from under a table after they usher people out. And you can Google this. This is not hard to find. Trump retweeted it.
I don't know if you can Google it, but you can find it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, DuckDuckGo. And the other one where it appears pretty clear that a count, I don't know if it was a man or a woman, but basically they're stacking these ballots together and putting them through the counter, and they literally grab the exact same ballots, shuffle them up again, and put them back. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't look into those and make sure they are exactly what they seem to be, but that coupled with the small percentage of absentee ballots that are not getting thrown out, when you have, I think it's typically like 3% get tossed out on an average year. Well, this year you increased them by millions and millions and millions, and a lower percentage got thrown out. That is basically statistically impossible. So I'm still waiting for some fireworks on the presidential thing. I don't know what's going to happen, but listen, the last time the Republicans had all three branches, you had a major tax cut. They screwed up, in my opinion, trying to get through healthcare right away. John McCain, put an end to that before he passed. Then they got a massive tax bill passed when they had all three powers of government. The last time the Democrats had it, you had healthcare under Obama. So, if you don't look at it and think that something major wouldn't be passed if Georgia goes to Democrat and the presidential holds up like that, then I think that the market is mispricing that significantly.
You know what? Maybe they're not mispricing. I can tell you why. I know you disagree with this, but hear me out. We have a ton of moderate Democrats, just like we have a ton of moderate Republicans, right? You only hear from the extremes, right? The far right, the far left, because, that's a storytelling. That's the burning of the buildings. That's like, it's crazy, right? But when you're looking at moderate Democrats, what do they want to do? They want to get Trump out of office. They don't like him. That's fine. That's cool. You did it, right? You basically did it, right? He's basically gone unless something dramatically changed. And I agree with you I just can't believe how you have a video of people. Why aren't these people like on the stand? Why aren't we seeing this publicly? Why? It sounds like these people are on a beach and nothing happened to them, but just ask them what happened. What were they not? Why did you close at 9:30? Like, the fact that we have a video and nobody cares, it's mind blowing to me, because forget about if you're Republican and Democrat. I say that a lot because I want to, when we talk about politics, people have very strong opinions, right? But this is our voting process. People died to give us this right. And you don't want to, you have video of some taking out votes out of a table, dismissing everyone in, what was it, like 10:30, and all of a sudden these votes get counted at 3 a.m. by only, like 3 or 4 people compared to the 30 or 40 that were there. It's just, why aren't these guys like on the stand? Why don't they in front of Congress? Why aren't we questioning exactly what happened? The fact that nobody really cares is kind of, blows me away. And, getting back to the tons of moderate Democrats and most people in the middle here, these are people that hated Trump. Fine, you hated Trump, he's gone. Yeah, this is a group that believes in climate change, tax cuts for the middle class, more taxes on the rich, believes in our Constitution, believes in capitalism, pro-growth, the American dream, where if you work hard enough, you can succeed at anything. They just have, different of opinion, right, in how, to grow our country compared to, say, moderate Republicans. But now, if you're a moderate Democrat living in Georgia, and again, you accomplished it. You got rid of Trump, you hated him. But are you going to vote in that election knowing that if those two Democrats win, your taxes are going to be raised considerably? And they'll say, no, it's not in the middle class, because most middle-income families, middle class, own equities and own assets. And the capital gains tax is going to skyrocket, right? So you're going to see tax. Biden said himself, I don't remember a president saying, hey, elect me, I'm raising taxes.
Yeah.
It almost never happens, right?
So are you going out on a limb and saying there won't be major legislation passed if the Democrats have all three branches?
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I wonder if those Democrats who are moderate are just going to say, yeah, we want, because if the Democrats, it's not going to be a moderate Democrat. It's going to be much more pushed to the left, where you're going to see, the foundation that America was built on is going to change, right? They want to add seats to the Supreme Court. This isn't about like differences of climate change or you're looking at them adding 2 new states, Puerto Rico and D.C., so they have a better shot of always controlling the Senate. You're looking at the new Green Deal, which you want to basically rebuild almost every building across every city to make it more environmental friendly. And you're going to stop fracking, right? So if you stop fracking, one of the biggest things that's kept us out of wars is that we, for the first time in history, and it happened a couple of years ago, and I visit every major shale area, we're going to stop fracking. We're energy independent. Like, people don't understand how important that is, where it gives us a significant advantage over China, Japan, Asia, Europe. We have our resources here. You're going to just take that away. We're going to be more dependent. A lot of wars are caused because of oil and OPEC in the Middle East. We're going to go from, we're not going to be, if they make this decision, it's not going to be moderate. It's going to be I mean, you look at Schumer, you look at Pelosi and what they've been saying, defund the police and things like that. There's going to be a radical change. And for me, my point is, I wonder if...
I was going to say, where are you disagreeing with me on?
So, I wonder if there's Democrats out there that are moderate that are like, you know what? All right, maybe it's better that, because if we really get everything, the people in control who don't give a shit about anyone, which we know based on a stimulus bill, right? They're going to really push that left agenda. It's going to be more and more left. But I'm wondering to hear from Democrats like that, or whatever, Republicans. But to me, I think like that could change, where they could be like, okay, we don't want to give these guys too much power. We got what we wanted. We got Trump out. But do we really want all this other garbage? Because at the end of the day, if you're really looking at Georgia and Democrats win this, you're going to get your taxes raised. I don't care what you say or what you believe. Everyone is going to get their taxes raised, unless you make probably less than $30,000 a year. But everyone's going to get their taxes raised. We have a massive amount of debt. It has to come from someplace. And all the rich people, if you're going to tax them to the point where they're going to get the hell out of the country. They're already leaving certain states like New York and California in droves. So, where's that money going to come from to support all this? You're spending like maniacs, handing checks to people and businesses for nothing. You have to make up those payments. But it's going to be interesting to see this election and how it works out. But I can't even make a prediction. I have no idea. But it is going to be interesting of how even moderate Democrats vote for that. Maybe they're like, I don't give a shit. I'm just going to vote for it. I don't know. I'm just curious on that.
Yeah, it'll be like I said. I mean, but as long as you have some exposure to gold and silver or better gold and silver stocks, I think that'll place your hedge, even though they'll sell off, for the first couple of days if the market really pulls back. But yeah, I mean, just make sure you're hedged a little bit and stay long, and we'll find a lot of good ideas into next year. And like I said, it's aggravating, but it doesn't mean that we won't be able to make money.